Media. And wow, it is a light showing tonight for a day that we are a day late, but not a dollar short. We got a good show coming up today. So let's see, we've got Brett and KP Sheridan. I know that guy, and Dorothy and Steve, and that's it. No excuse from Kevin even?
No, nothing.
That's weird. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start the show. What do you think?
Start it.
All right, here we go. And you're going on mute, right?
Oh, thank you for reminding me.
All right. Bye, Steve. All right, here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Macintosh bias. Today is Monday, October 12th, 2015, and this is show number 544. I sure hope you got the message that I was delaying the show by a day. It turns out if you sign up for the NosillaCast news, you would get notifications of events like this. It doesn't happen too often, but it's kind of nice when you do get a notification. I do feel bad because there's a lot of folks who kind of depend on the NosillaCast for the Monday morning commutes and when I delay like this. But, you know, Steve and I decided it'd be way more fun to go to Oktoberfest with our daughter Lindsay and her husband Nolan at Ballast Point Brewery than to drive back home and do the show for you. Sorry we made that choice. We had an extra good time because we actually got to meet up with Adam Christensen, host of the MacCast, over at the brewery. We've been trying to get together at Ballast Point with Adam for ages, and we finally got it done. All right, well, you know what? Apple and I are not on good speaking terms lately. I was looking at my iPhone the other day, and it spontaneously rebooted. Now, I'm not talking about one of those pesky little springboard reboots, you know, where it just goes away and comes right back. I mean a full-scale reboot. This explains something I'd seen on the phone recently. I'd pick it up and I try to use my Touch ID and it would say, well, you can't use Touch ID right after you boot the phone up. And I found that kind of puzzling because I had not rebooted the phone. Evidently, it was doing it all by itself. Well, I let that transgression go. I thought, okay, well, it's a 1-off or maybe a 12-off. I didn't know. But then on Monday, I pulled it off the charger. It would have been for about 10 hours and it showed 67% charge. That was a little bit concerning, but it was slightly more concerning when 7 minutes later, I got the low battery warning and saw that it was at 4% power. Then my iPad started doing something similar. After a full night's charge, I used the iPad to watch a couple of video podcasts. I mean, like no more than an hour and a half of using it for video. And it was, I sat on the counter for the day. And when I came back to 10 at night, I went to use it and the battery was completely dead. This didn't just happen one time where you could kind of ignore it and figure something fluky happened. It's happened several times. So it's obviously time to do a restore on both devices. And I don't actually mind doing this, but there's a few steps to it that make it so darn annoying. Many people, and I'm one of the lucky ones, run into problems when they try to run a local backup. Partway through the process, iTunes says, I can't continue because the iPhone disconnected. The fix for this is to reboot the phone. All right, fine. Enter my complex password, open it up, try it again, and now it backs up. Takes close to an hour to run the backup, which is great. Now restore. Nope, you can't restore because you have Find My iPhone turned on. Okay, fine. Open up settings, dig until I find it, and turn it off. Try again. Now it warns me I have purchased apps that haven't been backed up from the phone. Well, what the heck were you doing all that time you were backing up the phone? All right, fine. Forget it. And get those apps back, just do the darn restore. Well, my favorite part is that you can't leave this unattended because after about 100 years go by, it's going to say something like lost connection to the phone, but that's because the phone is waiting with the hello thing on screen. You think you're done, but no, that's the restored to factory settings version. You haven't restored to your backup yet. You have to babysit this whole process instead of having a life while it's doing the backup restore from backup dance. Now, anybody who's screaming into the iPhones right now, I know that I may have reintroduced the same problems by restoring from a backup. To do a full true restore, you build the phone back up from scratch, but I didn't want to try that yet. All right, got all that done, did the backup, restore from backup. Now my phone looks exactly as I left it. You know, there's a couple things I have to do, like authorize Telegram for that device, but I'm pretty much in business. Except all of a sudden, my watch was tapping me. It's not time to stand up. It's not done until the hour. Oh, look, it's telling me I have to pair with my iPhone. Well, I don't understand why I had to do that if I backed up back to my restored phone, but, you know, it's only a matter of scanning this weird screen on the watch with the phone to pair them, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Except then the watch said, I have to be restored. I have no idea why that was. Off it goes for another century, getting itself set up again. And this would be really fun under any circumstances, but my favorite part of this whole experience was that when the watch came back, It was in German. I'm not kidding you. It was in German. It showed something in German on screen that I didn't understand. And then I had two choices. It said nein or ja. Is it ja? J-A anyway. I don't know what either of those words mean in German, but I guessed it was no and yes. But since I didn't know what the question it was asking me either, I crossed my fingers and I tapped ja. I have since asked my friend Klaus Wolf to translate for me, and he said it was asking me if I want to be able to unlock the watch with my iPhone. Unbelievable. Only after I'd said yeah could I continue the process and then use the Apple Watch app on the iPhone to tell the watch to speak English to me. Klaus says that I should have bucked up and just learned German instead, so he was a really big help. After that, the Apple Watch was set up properly because it pulled from the backup. Except, of course, I had to set up Apple Pay again to my credit card on the phone and on the watch. You're not going to believe what happened next. By 7 p.m., my Apple Watch had a dead battery. You're kidding me. I don't know, maybe it was the stress of translating everything into German for me. I don't know what its problem was. It's been okay ever since that day. Now, lest you think the fun was over for me, I still had to back up and restore my iPad too, repeating the same dance I did all afternoon with my iPhone. That took me from about 5 p.m. to 10:15 p.m. running up and down the stairs to go click a button to keep it moving. Things seemed to settle down that night, but then the next day I opened up Apple Photos, and there was a purple border around the application. In the upper right, it said, all specified constraints visualized. Layout is ambiguous. Well, actually, it was in the upper left that it said that. Lucky for me, there was a button next to it that said exercise ambiguity. And then it helpfully suggested that I click a constraint to log it to the console. Now, while that did sound like fun, and I pressed the exercise ambiguity button, right? Over on the right, I saw another message that said, why am I seeing this purple window? Remember, all of this is a border around photos. Pushing that button explains that this is a debugging window that displays representation of constraints. Well, that helps a lot. Now I totally understand why it's there. Well, anyway, the good news is that it includes a really nice cryptic terminal command to delete the defaults that are causing this. I decided at first to hold off a wee bit before entering that command, but it ended up happening so many times, I did end up running that command to get it to stop. Jury's still out on whether it's going to have stopped forever because it was still doing it as of yesterday. I decided to go for a walk to clear my head after all this, and while on my walk, I decided to check messages on my iPhone. Would you believe that I got a debug code on that device too? Told me that my approval request had been sent, and to continue using iCloud on this iPhone, approve it from one of your other devices, either using iCloud or enter your iCloud security code debug interval 172800 : wait time 2 days. Now, you think I'm making this stuff up, right? Well, I heard that Microsoft just announced the new Surface Book laptop, the Surface Pro 4, the Lumia 950 phone, and the new Microsoft Band. All right. What have I missed? Oh, your small but chatty group tonight, huh? Yeah, Brett, you're right. We could never get into JPL because of the traffic. That was terrible. We went and saw the space shuttle instead. That's a great idea. The shuttle's very cool. Yeah, it took us 2 hours to not go to JPL, so that was fun. All right. Dan, how you doing, Dan? This really looks quiet. Well, I heard that Microsoft just announced the new... All right, let's see. Microsoft Band. See, I don't like that little at the end. This is weird. GarageBand is changing the color of my recordings to different colors. It's blue on the top and purple on the bottom. It's normally orange. And it's not like GarageBand 6.0.5 has been updated lately, that's for sure. All right, let's see. Oh, Steve gave me a little note there. Oh, forgot my lower third. Yeah, I tried to turn that on yesterday when I was on with Tom, and it never turned on. Let's see if it works this time. Nope. Lower third's broken, Steve. Oh, it's back. Huh. All right. Now you know who you're watching. Both of you. Progress update. Oh, Dorothy, you're going to like my progress this weekend. We did not walk. We did not move. There's been a lot of talk lately about these new phone plans in the United States where you can pay a monthly fee and get the new hotness every year when Apple, or I suppose Samsung or Microsoft, comes out with it. It's really focused on the iPhone, though. I'd like to break down the numbers in a way that we can really see what's happening here and maybe help make you to make an informed opinion. Now, remember the old adage, if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is? Well, hopefully at the end of this discussion, we'll know whether that holds true. Let's start by answering the question of what I'm qualified and unqualified to tell you. I am qualified to run the numbers because A, I understand math, and B, I'm pretty darn good with a spreadsheet. My years of calculus in my undergraduate degree and differential equations in my graduate degree will not come into play. But, perhaps that gives me a little bit of street cred. What gives me more cred is that I ran a large computing organization responsible for a $50 million a year budget. This required me to learn from the brilliant finance and business people who worked with me about things like capital investments and total cost of ownership. Believe it or not, my engineering economics course in my engineering degree was probably one of the more useful courses where I learned about things like time, cost, and money. All right, so I'm a math person, but there is something I am not qualified on which to lecture you, and that is on what you can afford. I cannot tell you the right answer for you and your family, but I can lay out the options in a way that you can figure out which one's right for you. You may pick a completely different path than me, but you're going to go into it knowing the upside and downside of your decision rather than blindly saying, I want the new one every year. You might still pick that, but you're going to know why and whether it was a good deal for you. So we should probably spend a quick moment going over why the old plans were bad and why we shouldn't shed a tear at all at their demise. Number one, they hid the true cost of the phone from us. Buying a subsidized phone makes it feel like it only cost $200 when it really was a $600 device. We paid way more than full price for the phone over time. Did you ever notice that no matter how long you kept a phone, the monthly price never went down? Finally, they had an early termination fees. I think on AT&T it was like $175, even when it was clear you'd paid even more than the value of the phone by that time. So let's talk about why the new plans are good. AT&T, Verizon, and even Apple are now offering plans that are interest-free loans to you to buy the phones. Interest-free loans are a good thing. You get to keep your money in a savings account while using their money to buy the phone. If you were to invest the cost of an iPhone for 2 years, you'd make about $18 on that money, but they're not charging you anything to borrow it. Of course, over the 2 years, you're paying the money back. You wouldn't really have the whole amount invested, so it's not even $18. But as you can see, the interest income is not a material amount of money, but I'm explaining it to help clarify that these no interest deals are in your favor, no matter how you look at it. Even if you didn't keep all the money in the bank the whole time, it's better than zero. Always better than zero. Now, I've been talking about AT&T, Verizon, and Apple. T-Mobile and Sprint offer plans that are leases. They are not interest-free loans. They're very complicated, and the monthly fees swing wildly depending on what phone you trade in. I remember I was looking at the T-Mobile deal, and they have a $5 a month plan. Well, in order to get that, you have to give them a $400 valued phone to start the plan. Like you have to trade one in to get that. So there were so many variables, and they're not the interest-free loan, so I'm really not that interested in them. So I'm only going to talk to you about the loans from AT&T, Verizon, and Apple. It's going to be plenty to try and follow the interest-free loan model, so let's not muddy it up with the leases. I'm going to stop for a second here. Phone maths. Oh, Alistair's here. Happy Tuesday, Alistair. Oh, good. This will help you out, Brett. Yeah, this is good stuff. I'm kind of proud of this one. I'm getting some good traction on it too. Oh, Steve just told me Alistair's not listening. Okay, he's just in the chat room because he's at work probably. Tell him I said hi. Oh, sits back and giggles. Yeah. Actually, I don't think I had the right... This is not the same introduction. Maybe it's later in the article where I say the people from the other countries sit back and giggle. Some of this does not ring exactly true. Let me try something. Yeah.
Neil joined us. Is that Jumbo?
Neil?
Is that Neil from as in Jumbo Shrimp Neil?
I think it is. Is that Jumbo Shrimp meeting up with us here?
Neil?
It's usually Jumbo Shrimp, I think. Look at something, because this is not reading quite the way I remember my final edit being. Let me see if I want to see where giggle is. Actually, I can do it over here too. Because I know I said you could giggle. Uh-oh. It's not my final copy. Yep, I thought so. This isn't my final copy. I'm afraid I'm going to start this segment over again, guys. It just last couple minutes.
I think you should remind people of Neil's significance.
Oh, yeah, Neil is Jumbo. Yes. So anybody who's not paying attention, Neil is the first person to ever write to me on the podcast. It was when I had done 4 episodes and then I pod faded, or 5. I pod faded, and he wrote to me and said, "Hey, where's the podcast?" So everybody always has to thank him. Let me check something here. Been a lot of talk lately. Okay. I'm going to start this over because this is not the right copy, and I'm going to read from my blog post. I did a lot of editing on this, and it bothers me that that's not the same thing. Been having some syncing problems here. All right, here we go. Here we go. Actually, I didn't check to see if you can hear the fans. Well, you know,
I can't hear them.
Now, you think, wow, that's amazing. Huh. All right, I meant to turn that down. Oh, well, might as well keep it the same. Here we go. Oh, well, might as well keep it the same. Oh, Steve, you're not muted. Okay, here we go. Here we go. There's been a lot of talk lately about these new phone plans in the United States where you can pay a monthly fee and get the new hotness every year when Apple, or I suppose Samsung or Microsoft, comes out with their new devices. It's mostly focused on the iPhone, but so I'm going to use that as an example here. There are some huge advantages to these plans, and I'd like to talk you through them while noting that they absolutely positively will cost you more money than other options. I spent the better part of this week reading the terms and conditions of the carriers and working on a spreadsheet designed to make it easier to understand. I'm going to go through all the math for you and explain in detail my assumptions, the variables I selected, and the concepts. But I realized nobody's going to listen if they don't hear the bottom line first. By the way, NosillaCastaways from other countries than the United States can just sit back and giggle at our newness to buying phones for the real price. Of the 6 scenarios I considered, the least expensive options were to buy new phones every other year using one of the zero-interest loan programs and selling your old phone at the end of each term. Identical in price was to buy a new phone outright for cash. These 2 options are our baseline so we can see how much more it costs to have instant gratification. If you really want to have the new phone every year, the least expensive way to do it is to buy a new phone every year in cash and then sell your old phone each year. That's going to cost you 17% more than the baseline price we talked about of going every other year. If you really can't swing paying full price for the phone each year, then the next most expensive option is to use Apple's installment plan. That's if you don't count AppleCare. That's going to cost you 21% more than our baseline. Finally, using either AT&T or Verizon's new phone every year plan, you're going to pay about 30% more to get the new hotness. The difference between getting a phone every other year versus the AT&T and Verizon every year plan is $400 over 4 years. Now that you've heard the end of the story, you're yelling at your phone saying, well, why are you qualified to figure this out? Why are you qualified to tell me what to do? What assumptions did you make? What kind of phone did you use for this? What about T-Mobile and Sprint? Now that I have your attention, let's walk through each of these items. Let's start by answering the question of what I'm qualified and unqualified to tell you. I'm qualified to run the numbers because I understand math, and I'm pretty darn good with a spreadsheet. My years of calculus in my engineering undergraduate degree and differential equations in my graduate degree will not come into play. Perhaps they give me a little bit of street cred, though. What might give me more cred is that I ran a large computing organization responsible for a $50 million a year budget. This required me to learn from the brilliant finance and business people who I worked with about things like capital investment and total cost of ownership. So I'm a math person, but there's something I'm not qualified on which to lecture you, and that's what you can afford or how you should spend your money. I can't tell you the right answer for you and your family, but I can lay out the options in a way you can figure out which one is right for you. You might pick a completely different plan than me, but you'll go into it knowing the upside and downside of your decision rather than blindly saying, I want the new one every year. We should probably spend a quick moment going over why the old plans were bad and why we shouldn't shed a tear on the demise of the old plans when we got the subsidized phones. Number one, they hid the true cost of the phone from us. Buying a subsidized phone made it feel like it only cost $200 when it was really a $600 device. Number two, we paid way more than full price for the phone over time. Did you ever notice that no matter how long you kept a phone, the monthly price never went down? Number three, they had early termination fees. Like AT&T was like $175, even when it was clear you'd more than paid them the value of the phone. All right, so why are the new plans good? AT&T, Verizon, and even Apple are now offering plans that are interest-free loans to you to buy the phones. Interest-free loans are a good thing. You get to keep your money in savings while using their money to buy the phone. If you were to invest the cost of an iPhone for, say, 2 years and just let the money sit there, you'd make about $18 on that money, but they're not charging you anything to borrow that same amount of money. Of course, over the 2 years you're paying the money back, you wouldn't really have the whole amount invested, so it's not even $18. And as you can see, the interest income isn't a material amount of money. But I'm explaining it to you to clarify that these no-interest deals are in your favor no matter how you look at it. T-Mobile and Sprint offer plans that are leases, not interest-free loans. They're very complicated and monthly fees swing wildly depending on what phone you trade in. I remember when I was reading the Sprint plans, to get their $5 a month plan, you had to trade in a $400 phone. Well, that doesn't sound like that great of a deal. Anyway, it was too complicated to include it, so I'm going to keep them off the table and only talk about the loans that AT&T, Verizon, and Apple are offering. It's going to be plenty to try and follow the interest-free loan model, so let's just stick with that for now. I had to make some assumptions going in. I chose a 64 gigabyte iPhone 6S as the model we're going to theoretically buy. In some of the scenarios we'll walk through, you'll be selling an iPhone, so I used two sources to determine the used phone's values. On eBay, I averaged 10 recently sold phones, and I also pulled the current price from Gazelle to sell a medium quality iPhone 6. I averaged the eBay number and the Gazelle number, figuring half of us would bother with eBay and half of us would be lazy and go with Gazelle. I did this for 1-year-old iPhone 6 and the 2-year-old iPhone 5S because in some scenarios, we're going to be selling a 1-year-old iPhone, some a 2-year-old phone. Next, I'm going to give you a fact that is part of my assumptions. Apple and the carriers are required to charge you sales tax on the full price of the phone each time you get one. I confirmed this by calling Apple directly. I chose California's sales tax rate of 8.44%. So if you live in one of the few sales tax-free states, your math would differ by quite a bit. I know there's not many of you, but you're very smug, so I knew you'd have to have that pointed out to you. And you might be in a state with a lot lower tax rate than California. By the way, at the end of this, you're going to get access to the spreadsheet so you can change it up yourself. To do this really precisely, I would have taken things into account like net present value, but again, this does not have a material impact on the results of these scenarios. Because AT&T's payment schedule is 20 months and not 24 months like the other ones, in order to make the scenarios compare properly, I had to leave a 4th year in each scenario, where in some cases it just kind of lets the existing phones ride out the year. There was another way to do it cleanly. Now, Apple insists that you buy AppleCare Plus on the phone if you buy through them, and that increases the cost dramatically if I compare it to the other plans without AppleCare Plus. So I subtracted AppleCare out of the cost of the Apple plan. This is not realistic because you can't have that option. I could have done it the other way around by adding AppleCare Plus to every plan, but that got too complicated. So now you know all of my assumptions. You can change those assumptions if you want. Like I said, you get access to the spreadsheet, but this is how I calculated it. So let's talk about the numbers. I put all of my calculations in a Google spreadsheet for you to view, and if you like, you can copy and edit it. If you make a copy of it, you can change the cost of the phone you want, say to a 6S Plus, and you could do things like change the tax rate to one appropriate for your state to see if it changes the answer by much. I ran several scenarios to illustrate the options we have open to us. I'm sure as many of you are dying to have me go through every single line of the spreadsheet in full detail, I'm just going to give you that final tally. Like I said up front, I wanted to do this so that people understand there's a cost associated with the glory and awesomeness of having the new iPhone every year. It's not meant to talk you out of anything or into anything. If we get a new 64 gigabyte iPhone 6S through any one of these no interest loans from AT&T, Verizon, or Apple, or paying it full price up front, but we keep it for 2 years instead of 1, we can sell it at the end of each 2-year term and then start a new 2-year deal. It's important to know that with these loans, you own the phone when the term is up. So technically on the AT&T version, since it's a 20-month deal, you could upgrade earlier, but since Apple only gives us a new phone each year, I didn't add that in as an option. But at 20 months, you could go buy an Android phone if you wanted. This scenario is the lowest cost. That is $1,413 over the course of 4 years. In 4 years, you've gotten 2 new iPhones and sold 2 old iPhones at 2 years old. One step up on cost from our baseline is to buy a new phone every year for the full price from anyone you like and sell your old phone each year. In 4 years, you've gotten 3 new iPhones and sold 2 one-year-old iPhones. This is going to cost you $1,657 or 17% more than our baseline. Now, the reason this is getting to be a better deal is with the new every year plans, that is going to be the next one I talk about, you don't actually own those phones when you trade them in. No, that's not right. That's not what I meant to say. Don't change it. You don't act with the new. Now, the reason that I'm just making things up. Don't change the script. You worked hard enough on this one. Save once in a while, huh? Hello, NC8768. Oh, we're getting some people in now. Todd's in here. Hey, Todd, how you doing? Todd and I were just chatting this afternoon. At more than our baseline. All right. Y'all can keep California. Yeah, that's kind of why I decided to make it where you could change it. If you guys want the spreadsheet while I'm chatting about it, it is here. Copy link address. Jeff Bishop is listening on the app, and he says, I'm giving him a headache with all this math. Okay, we're at baseline. There we go. Okay. The Apple installment plan is next up at $1,705, not counting AppleCare, which you actually do have to buy, or 21% more than our baseline. Again, this is 3 new iPhones in 4 years, but you haven't had to sell anything because you don't own the phones. You have to trade them into Apple. Now, you would own them if you kept them longer, but you're giving it back every year to Apple, and that's why this plan is costing you more money. Finally, the most expensive options are to get one of the no-interest loans through either AT&T or Verizon and accept the new phone every year. This is the most expensive option. You don't own the phone yet, so you can't sell it. Over the course of the 2 years, you're going to spend 30% more than our baseline, coming in at over $1,800. I was surprised that this came in at about $130 more than the Apple plan, and I think I know why. Remember I said I artificially subtracted the cost of AppleCare? Well, I used the list price of AppleCare at $129 for 2 years, but they must be giving it to you cheaper than that. It makes this Apple deal a bit better if you do want to go with AppleCare. So bottom line, getting a new phone every year for 3 years costs $400 more than getting a new phone every other year. Now, this may be totally worth it to you, or it may not be, but now you have the numbers to help you decide, and you have the spreadsheet to change it to what you want to do. Remember, if you already entered into one of these interest-free loans, you do not have to get a new phone every year. You just have the option to do it. You can keep paying the payments till the term is up, 20 months for AT&T or 24 months for Verizon and Apple, and then you own your own phone and you have all the choices open to you, and that is a good thing. All right. Whew. That was a lot of work to read. Alistair, I'm glad you said, oh, he's not listening. I'm glad Alistair made that crack, because that let me know that I had a problem with the version of the show notes. I'm having some syncing problems, and that is driving me around the bend. All right, next up. All right, let me get rid of that. I found a typo. Somewhere in there I wrote TIS, T-I-S. That shouldn't have been. Let's see if I remember what TIS means. Can't believe you guys can't hear that. The air conditioner. That's amazing, Steve. All right. Hey, it's time for Dumb Question Corner. Okay, where do I keep Dumb Question Corner? I keep it in here. I haven't had a Dumb Question Corner in so long. Not one I could answer anyway. Here we go. And then we're going to bring in Bart. God, those colors are so weird. I don't know where that's coming from. Dumb Question Corner is going to go put it on Bart's track. All right. Okay. I must have done something to my colors because this is looking psychedelic. Okay, this is the end of my voice. And now bring that about there. And now we'll bring this to right there. Wow, that recording's low. All right, here we go. Own your own phone and you have all the choices open to you. And that is a good thing.
Dumb
questions.
How
come I always have to?
It's time for Dumb Question Corner.
Well, this week's dumb question comes from Lynn York, and I've brought in Bart Buchatz to answer the question because I don't actually know the answer to this one. So you ready to hear it, Bart?
Let's go.
All right. She says, hi, Al. See, Brett is saying 70 is the speed limit. I thought ours is, truckers have to drive 55 in Oregon. Oh. But interesting. But sales tax is low. Why is that purple? GarageBand has changed a strange color. Okay. Okay, very good. All right, well, thanks for stepping in for that, Bart.
No problemo.
All right. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Save. We recently upgraded Steve's mom and dad's computers to shiny new Mac Minis. It was a great opportunity to give them clean and up-to-date operating systems, and that's when we got them to both to go on to using 1Password. We forgot one thing when we did the upgrades, though. We did not install Flash for them. Had we thought about it, we wouldn't have installed it in Safari, but we would have installed Google's Chrome for them so that they had a way to watch Flash when they really needed to or wanted to. As you guys all know, Apple doesn't keep Flash up to date for you. In fact, they don't even put it in there, but Google does in Chrome. Avoiding Flash is a good idea for all the vulnerabilities in there, but there's sometimes you just really do have to have Flash. Well, Steve's dad likes to watch live videos from his investment company, and unfortunately, they deliver them in Flash. I was able to help him install Chrome using Skype screen sharing capability. Ken's pretty good at sharing his screen while we do chat over Skype audio, and that works because I can walk him through step by step and tell him where to click since I can watch him work. Well, that worked well, but then I needed to help him remember what to do when he runs into the warning on Safari telling him he needs Flash. He needs to copy and paste the URL and move it over to the other browser. He followed along just fine, but it's remembering next time, maybe a month or two later, that he needs to copy the URL, open Chrome, and then paste it in to watch, and that's kind of the hard part. I opened Clarify on my computer, took a couple of screenshots, dropped in a couple of annotations, and a sentence or two here and there to explain why he needed to do each step. I hit the Publish to PDF button, attached it to an email, and he was in business. He loves these tutorials I make for him in Clarify. He prints them out in color, and he puts them in a little notebook so he has them at his fingertips whenever he needs them. If you have friends or family or coworkers who need a little assistance once in a while, consider trying out Clarify to make them tutorials. They're going to love them. And even better, when they forget how to do something, you can just point them back to the tutorial rather than having to explain things over and over again. You look like a hero, and overall, you save yourself time. Check out the free trial of Clarify over at clarify-it.com. All right. And now we're ready. Let's see. Kevin's not here, so nobody has to take their ears off. Where is Kevin?
I sent him a note. No response. Maybe Monday's not a good night for him.
I guess not. Okay. Shoot, I touched it. Okay, I gotta untouch that. I did the thing that is gonna make your ears hurt. I want 44th Street long. Chit chat music. This is weird. My GarageBand's changing colors. It's very strange. All right, here we go. I did El Capitan, Steve, because I thought you were about to do it, and I figured if you weren't chicken, I wasn't going to be chicken. Then you didn't do it. You flinched. All right. Okay, symbols check, Steve. Symbols check. Get ready. You save yourself time. Check out the free trial of Clarify over at clarify-it.com. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for Chit Chat Across the Pond with Bart Bush. Can I get an approval on the symbols check? Okay, I got 2 thumbs up.
Symbols check, approval.
All right. All right. I'm going to keep us going here, and I'm not going to play any of that because we're going to get going. Somebody's punking Allison? What, with all the stuff I have going wrong? Oh, it's unbelievable. Did we find out who NC8768 is? Mysterious person from the internets.
Not yet.
Okay. All right. I'm going to drop in my closing music here. Intro, outro. We're going to end a little bit early today because my son is here visiting. I don't know why. He just seemed to think he should come over and say hey. So that's fun. Yay.
So,
oh, I guess I shouldn't do that before I, never mind. Didn't do the outro to the show.
I presume it'll be about 2 weeks, but whenever it is, until then, happy computing.
Okay. Now we go. All right. Well, I hope I'm going to become a programmer a little faster than I tame the terminal, but it's a lot of fun that Bart's getting us started on that. And it's fun to start a new series with him. That's going to wind us up for this week, though. Many thanks to our sponsor for helping to pay the bills, the makers of Clarify over at clarify-it.com. Don't forget to send in your dumb questions, comments, and suggestions by emailing me at allison@podfeet.com like Lynn York did this week. And follow me on Twitter at Podfeet. Check out the NosillaCast Google Plus community. That's the best place to get great tips and information and help from other people. The community is fantastic. And then you can see these really weird pictures that George from Tulsa posts that I don't really understand a lot of times. Anyway, we have a lot of fun in there, and that's over at podfeet.com/Google Plus. If you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time, like Neil did for the first time in a long time. And there you can join the friendly and enthusiastic Nosilla castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. Neil didn't stick around, huh?
No, he had to go.
Looks like you're recording in a whole new room. The physical room is the same, but a lot of stuff has changed. Todd? We let's see, intro, outro there. We had to give up some things to do it through the Google Hangout, but at least you don't get ads, so that's really nice. Friendly and enthusiastic Nosilla castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. What do you mean it's at 140%? 140% adoption rate? Nosilla castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. All right. And now let's go to the other end and drop in the other end music.
Oh, you doing a double ender?
No, it's not a double ender. Aren't you proud of yourself for learning a new word, but you're using it wrong?
I knew it all along.
Oh, really? What's a double ender, Steve?
That's when you're doing a podcast with two people and each one records their own voice, and then you send it to the person doing the producing who blends it to get the best audio quality.
What it is. Wow, look at you. I sure hope you got the
message. You shouldn't test me.
Monday, October 12th, 2015, and this is show number 544. I sure hope you got the... This is quiet. Show number 544. Right, there you go. And this color thing is really freaking me out. Everything's like purple and green, and I did mess around with the color a little bit when you and I were trying to...
what color are you referring to?
The GarageBand colors. Here, I'll show you guys.
You mean the track colors?
Yeah, the track colors have gotten all weird. So look at the...
well, you are running an old version of GarageBand with now El Capitan.
That might be it.
You know, at some point, it may no longer work.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting nervous about that next. So yeah, Steve, for those who can't hear Steve, it is something that could be coming from El Capitan. I thought about that. I wonder if that is what's causing it. Okay, that's the only split I had. Wow. Did that in 2 takes? It's pretty impressive. All right. Save, share, export song to disk. And we are done. I am going to call us early at 5:40 here. Because like I said, I'm going to go downstairs and, oh, wait, you can't see me anymore. You can't see me waving goodbye. There we go. All right, I'm going to say goodbye to you guys. Goodbye to Alpha Geek Radio. Goodbye to the app people. Goodbye to the people watching live at podfeet.com/live. And we will see you on Sunday night at our regularly scheduled time next time. So goodbye. Let's see. We'll go goodbye on the app first. Goodbye. And that got rid of Alpha Geek Radio, I think, too. And now we're going to stop the live broadcast. Bye.